You're listening to the Secure Dad Podcast. Discover ways to secure your home, protect your family, and embrace your role as a protector parent. Welcome, friend. I'm Andy Murphy, the creator of the Secure Dad. This podcast serves to help families become proactive in their safety. The information I share on this podcast is for general information purposes only. My goal is to empower you to make safer decisions for yourself and your family, because our safety is our own responsibility. On the show today, we're going to talk about how you can make your own home security cameras. And the best part is, we're going to use items that you may already have in your home. These can be used at your home, on the road, or to even monitor a remote location. All of that and more ahead on the Secure Dad Podcast. When I choose a company to help my family, no matter if it's a doctor, financial planner, or contractor, I look for one that's been around for a while, one that has experience. That's one of the reasons I chose to partner with Delete Me for my family's privacy and as a sponsor for this show. Delete Me has been in the game for more than 10 years. They have been, and still are, a pioneer in removing personally identifiable information from data broker sites, and that's their focus. Many other good-intentioned companies will try to offer you a suite of services, but they come up short. Delete Me knows how to keep strangers from buying your information, and they do it well. If you want to get your personal information removed from search sites, go to joindeleteme.com/dad. They're offering 20% off their privacy plans to everyone listening with the code DAD. When you join Delete Me, they partner with you to find your information across the internet and delete it for you. It's not only peace of mind, it's a relationship you can trust. See why I find Delete Me essential to my privacy at joindeleteme.com/dad and use promo code DAD to get 20% off today. Brian Page from Modern Husbands and I have collaborated on a free resource that will help protect your teen driver. This free guide will walk you through a few checklist items you need to go over with your teenager. This also has a printable list of actionable steps they can take in the event they are actually in a wreck. To get this free guide, tap the link in the show notes. Also, check out the podcast for kids that I've started with my son. On all the major podcast platforms, you can download Farmer Brown's Dinosaur Farm. This is a silly podcast for kids that follows a farmer who raises dinosaurs and all the mischief that they get into. You can also follow the show on Facebook when you search for Farmer Brown's Dinosaur Farm. So today, we are going to tap into our inner Michael Weston from Bird Notice and set up a DIY security camera. Now, there are tons of ways to do this that range from super easy to more complicated. So on the show today, I'm going to go over a few methods that I think you'll find useful and some tips for you to use for your success. First, why do we even want to make our own home security camera? The purpose of these cameras is to go where the typical camera can't, or to set up surveillance in a location temporarily. Now at this point, I have to disclaim to you that you need to use these cameras ethically and lawfully. The Secure Dad does not condone the use of spy cameras. My intent is to help families secure their homes and monitor their property legally. One of my first thoughts when setting up a DIY security camera is to monitor your kids when they are outside at your home. Maybe you don't have a surveillance camera or there's a gap in your system and you want to keep an eye on them while they play in the yard. You might want to set up one to monitor your front porch for package deliveries. Perhaps you have a child that is sleepwalking and you need to be alerted to when they're wandering around the house. Or maybe you have a teenager who is sneaking out and you need to know what they're up to. And of course, if you're traveling, you might want to set up one in your hotel room to keep an eye on your stuff, especially if you've turned down room service. No one should be going in and out of your room, so nobody should theoretically trip it. Or you can use one of these as a baby monitor when you're traveling. There's lots of legitimate uses for creating these types of cameras. By far, the easiest way to create your own home security camera or security camera system is to make one out of an old smartphone or tablet. There are apps that you can use that turn your mobile device into a security camera that includes motion detection, real-time alerts, and even two-way audio. As long as your old phone can connect to Wi-Fi and the camera works, you are good to go. Or you can still use a phone that has 5G service and use it remotely, like in a vehicle. The app that I tested was Alfred Camera. Alfred Camera, which is one word by the way, works on Android, web browsers, and iOS devices and offers a free tier, but you can upgrade it for a few bucks a month. To get this to work, you can simply download the app onto your main phone and to your old phone that is now being, recycled into a new security camera. On your main phone, start the app and designate that phone as the viewer. On the old phone, designate that one as the camera. I was genuinely impressed with how quickly the phones synced and were ready to go. Now you have a camera and a monitor that the app will pair together to work as a surveillance system, and you can also add more than one camera. In the app, you can also designate the use of the front or the back camera, or whether or not you want audio or motion tracking, so there's a lot of options. And you can add people to your trust circle so they can view the cameras as well. The free version will be more limited, so be aware. There's also a lot of ads too in this particular app, so if you think you're going to like it, it might be worth it to go ahead and upgrade it. When motion tracking is enabled, the camera on the phone will record and send alert to the viewer phone. From that phone, you can view the recording or view a live feed. You can even use two-way audio to talk or even sound an alarm. So in essence, you have a lot of the same features that the bigger companies have. You're just using two phones that you already own. To set up your new phone security camera, you can balance it against the wall, put it against a book or another object if you feel like you need to hide it. Your best bet to get the right angle is to actually use a tripod, plus it's going to be more steady. There are cheap tripods that you can get for about $8, and they work just fine. And no, your phone screen does not have to be on the entire time. The Alfred Camera app has a dim and lock feature, which will help you with low power mode. But there are also some disadvantages of these. Mobile phones can't stay powered forever, and if you're using an old phone, chances are the battery's almost dead anyway. So you'll have to power the device with a wall charger or a power bank if you want to stay away from an outlet. They can also run hot, so if you put them in an enclosure, that might be a problem. Mobile phones are also harder to hide, so you may have to get tricky with where you place them. Another disadvantage is that these are not weatherproof, so unless you get a case that will make it weatherproof, you're going to want to figure out where you can put it so that it's not going to get messed up outside. Now next I want to mention to you an ESP32 cam. Now this is a 2 megapixel camera that is Wi-Fi ready and that is mounted to a small motherboard looking module. It looks like something that fell out of your computer. And they are not plug and play at all. You have to put some work into them. These are generally cheap, and if you know some coding, you can actually use these as a pretty good surveillance camera. You can actually get them at like Amazon for less than $10. There are tons of videos online that walk you through how to use these things, but you do need to know some basic coding, which I don't. But I will say these cameras are actually good enough that they can use some facial recognition with them. But if you like to tinker with electronics, then the ESP32 cam is a good option for you. Another method you might try is to salvage an old laptop camera. Simply crack open the old laptop, because you're not going to use it anyway, then pull out the camera and at least an inch of wire still attached to the camera. Now, after you identify all the wires, you can actually solder them to a USB cable. You can also use a USB-C and iPhone cable as well. Now, at this point, you have a free USB security camera that you can place anywhere. And if you don't want to break a laptop, which I understand, you can actually buy replacement cameras for laptops online pretty cheap, and they're actually really good quality. These are not necessarily plug and play either, but it is a cost-effective way to get a home security camera. I'm not sure if it's worth the time investment for you, but it's an option that's available. The last thing I'll cover is that you can actually supplement your home surveillance system with a trail camera. For those of you who may not know, a trail camera is used by hunters to get images and video of game moving across areas. I have one, and I've used it before to check out different aspects of my property. My son and I actually went and tracked squirrels in our yard one summer, and it was actually a pretty fun little project. We named one Mr. Fatty. Anyway, I wrote an article about this on the Secure Dad blog, and you can tap the link in the show notes to read it if you're interested. I know it's not a DIY camera, but I thought it worth mentioning because we're talking about supplementing your home security surveillance system. For ease, I really do suggest using an old smartphone or tablet as a DIY home security camera. The Alfred Camera app works really well. I was very impressed with it. There are other apps that do similar things, so check it out on the App Store and see what you like the best. Of course, there are lots of other ways to make home security cameras. I just thought these were the most interesting. Well, that's everything for the Secure Dad podcast for today. Thank you, friend, for listening. you might have noticed that my voice sounds a little different in this episode. I'm happy to say that after 245 episodes, I've upgraded my mic. I guess you can say I've committed to this podcast thing now. But today, going forward, I'm just going to be using a Blue Yeti, and I think it sounds great. Take control of your personal private data with Delete Me. Get 20% off a privacy plan when you use the code DAD at checkout. If you want your kids to have a smartphone, but not access to the entire internet or social media, then consider a phone from TrueMe Wireless. Use code SecureDad at checkout for $50 off a phone. Tap the link in the show notes for more. For more from the Secure Dad, make sure you're following me on YouTube. I'm working on making more videos, so give me a follow over there. Just search for The Secure Dad. I'm Andy Murphy, reminding you that our safety is our own responsibility.